It's already, we're good to go. It's already going, so you're live.
Oh, good, good. Let me just try to start my camera.
Hey, I see you.
Yes, good. Hello, you guys. Hello, everybody. Hope you're all having a nice day. Fantastic event these days. Well, yesterday I had the pleasure to talk a little bit alongside with Silady, showing some Google Watch applications. Oh, sorry, watch applications. And well, today we are changing subjects. We are moving to API layer, and we are starting right now. So we are live from Brazil. I hope you all can see my screen here. Let me just close everything.
Yep, see just fine.
Um, I'm not sure. I mean, does this thing? Okay, now. Yes, now we go. Moving everything. So here we are. So today we are talking about API layer and its features and how to use Delphi to connect using REST. So our agenda, we first of all talking a little bit about API, then about RESTful API, and then we move to API layer. During our talk about some of the features in the API layer, we will be talking about the weather stack, the exchange rates API, and the coin layer. We will see that there are many other services, many other options that we can use. But anyway, I tried just to give as an example these three. And then, of course, from this point, you guys will be able to move by yourselves. It's a fantastic solution that we bring to you. So we will be doing everything under RADStudio Delphi, and we will use some Rest Debugger. And every time you guys see here this QR code in the right corner, just have your phones in your hands and you can use your camera to actually scan all the code. So this way it makes it easy for everybody to actually jump directly to the links that I'll be showing and checking on them later. Okay, everything is going to be recorded, so also you can check on later too. So my name is Victor Fernandez. I'm Embarcadero MVP since the very first group of 40 MVPs selected around the world. And this I learned from a friend of mine who once said that he was in love with Delphi and not using Delphi. So I'm in love with Delphi since 1998, and I have been using it ever since. I'm an electrical engineer, and now we move on to some code. So actually, before we begin, before we start to show the API layer and some of the features we have available in this package, I was trying to find some pictures actually to define API, because sometimes people tend to complicate a little bit things. And every time you try to go and search, these things are always very, full of drawings and links and everything. But sometimes people don't see the real picture over there, that actually APIs are very simple things and they're made to be simple. And the idea here is to actually have simple solutions for some problems that sometimes are not that simple. Okay. So what happens is that actually for some people, using APIs are something that they are already doing for years, but for many people, it is still something new. So first of all, let us talk to these people, okay, just to make sure everybody understands what we are doing. So let's say we have a restaurant, and everybody at some point wants to go to a restaurant, right? And the restaurant here for us is service, because what we want from a restaurant is actually to have some simple, oh, sorry, something happened. Yes. Okay, just a second. But this one is not, okay, here you go. So what we want is to have some food at the restaurant, right? We just want to sit there and get some food. We can all cook food. We can go to our kitchen and do the food ourselves. But at some point, it's better if we could just sit at a restaurant and order it. right? So in this case, whenever you want some food, maybe you just go to a restaurant yourself and you sit, but maybe it is not just you, maybe it's you and your friends. And from time to time, you and your friends, you use this service. So the restaurant is here for us like a service is for the API. The point is that we cannot directly access the kitchen. So we cannot sit and talk to the person who is cooking inside, right? That's exactly how it works with the API. I mean, there is a service which is being provided by a server, but we cannot directly access the server. We need some layers to guarantee that everything is going to be done the right way. In the case of the restaurant, you cannot simply enter the kitchen because maybe you're not dressed properly, you don't have your hair pulled and protected not to have contamination in the food and so on. So the same thing happens with the server. I mean, nobody wants to give you directly access to a server, right? So they can do it through the API. Well, in this case, we need some kind of link in between you and your friends and the kitchen, right? And the point is that actually this link is this guy here, the waiter in the case of the restaurant, right? So it is actually the API. The API is our link in between us, clients, let's say, no? And in this case, your friends or you are behaving like client applications, and the server and the service that you want the server to provide. So the point is that once you get to a restaurant, you need to have access to the menu. In the menu, you will see every food that the restaurant is offering to you. You cannot order anything that is different from what is in the menu. And once you see the name of the dish that you are ordering, you can see everything that goes inside this dish. Okay, maybe some parameters you can add or some parameters you can remove from this dish, but there you see exactly all the points that you can order and how they are, what kind of information they request from you, right? So if we are talking API, this is actually the endpoints, and there is some kind of documentation. So whenever you're going to work with some kind of API, the first thing is to check on this documentation. And nowadays, actually, if we are talking most recent APIs, checking on the endpoint. So what kind of food I can order, right? So once you say to the waiter what you want, then the waiter makes an order. And this order is actually a API request. So, I mean, you tell to the server, I want this, and you send some parameters to the server. So both you know exactly what the server can actually give to you. Also, the server knows exactly what they can give to you. So both of you are working with the same endpoints, right? And your API request actually is sent directly to the server through the API. Well, maybe the server will have two applications running. So maybe you have the server application, which will actually prepare a food, but maybe he will also ask for the help of the database in order to bring the food to him and whatever, right? So we're just here trying to make things simpler and showing to you that APIs are actually something very simple. So once the API requests arrive to the server will work alongside with the database to provide to you some information which in feedback arrives to you as an API response. In this case, your food, right? So in case your API actually is nowadays working with endpoints and is returning for you a JSON, most probably this is a RESTful API, okay? So this is how easy it is, the concept of an API. But usually you will see it drawn like this. So, I mean, if you see a drawing like this, we have the same. We have client application, we have API request, we have the server, we have the API response going back with a JSON for the for the client application to process. But the point is that this is much easier for, let's say, people to understand. So whenever you're talking to API, as I told you guys, maybe it's some kind that it's something that you can cook yourself, right? I mean, if you have to convince your wife to go out, she'll say, okay, maybe, I mean, we could cook ourselves in our kitchen, right? But maybe it's hard work to do it, and somebody's already providing you an API for that service for a very cheap price, sometimes even free. And instead of you having to cook yourself, you let somebody cook and you just make orders, right? This is a good way for you guys to explain the API to a client, for example, which may not really understand about software development, or maybe to a manager and convince a company or a manager to actually invest in an API to actually provide some more functionality to your application, for example, right? So try next time you have to explain to somebody and actually convince them to, for example, invest in using an API, try to use this instead of using this, okay? This is something I like to actually tell people, and makes everything easier for people to understand. And for you guys that have never used an API before, this is how easy it is, okay? Then once we understand this, we can move and actually start programming. So we talked about RESTful APIs. They are much simpler than SOAP, for example, because SOAP APIs, we have to actually build very large XML files sometimes, and then we receive back XML files and we have to process everything. So RESTful APIs, they make it very easier these days, because we are most of the times just working with endpoints, which are actually functions. We will see some of them. And then we are receiving back JSON files that we can easily process. But the fact is that whenever people are saying that this API is RESTful, it's actually about a software architecture, okay? Which was defined by this guy, Roy, in the year 2000. So this is not something that old. We're talking 20 years before. And he actually defined everything in his PhD thesis. And I was supposed to put a QR code here. I'm sorry, I will update this slide later. But actually, for an API to be said as RESTful, it just has to be, aware of 6 fundamental requirements. First of all, it must be client-server, and we will have clients requesting information to a server, and this is going to be totally separate, and the server will actually be comply with portability and scalability, right? We will need something to be totally stateless. So the client request must contain all the necessary information, and we then do not depend on some context in the server. So we just make requests and receive responses. It has to be cacheable. So the response to the request are labeled as cacheable or not, and we can decide, right? So this makes things very easy to scale and fast responses. Most of the times we will have some kind of uniform interface with these 4 interface restrictions. So we have always resource identification, manipulation of resources to representation, and self-describing messages. So everything is made to be very easy. We are talking about hypermedia and the exchange of information in the kind of text, readable text, right? The system is always layered, and one layer is never trespassing the responsibilities of the other layer. And this is the last point, but not very common to always to find. We have the option to have code on demand. So actually, the customer can download and execute code in form of applets and scripts. And sometimes this can be very powerful, but not all API will actually comply with this point. So now we start talking about API layer, okay? API layer, you can actually access the website right now, APILayer.com. Congratulations for me. So from APILayer.com, just give a moment to enter this website right now if you guys want. We will see that we have many options of APIs for us to use, actually. So today we will be talking about weather stack here on the right. Right, so we can actually request information from weather and forecast for all around the world with a simple click. But for example, we have information on aviation stack where we can actually see flights, real-time and historical information. You know those apps that you can see the airplanes and the planes when they will arrive on each airport and so on. Very nice, very easy to use. We have market stack information with stock market information, media. So let's say you have an application that you want to add some news to it. So once the user enters your desktop or your mobile or even web application, you want to put on the side or pop up some news for him, whatever it is. You can actually filter to user preferences and so on. So there is a huge amount of APIs that you can choose from. Currency converters, cryptocurrency exchange rates, PDF in conversion from websites. I mean, it is important that you guys take a time to actually study about these options. Okay, so we are going through some of them today, and mostly we are doing this because Idera, which is a sister company from Embarcadero, bought the API layer. Okay, so it's very nice for you guys to check, and we want to demonstrate the compatibility with Delphi. So let's now put some hands-on the WeatherStack API and see how easy it is for us to get some real-time weather information from the API, okay? So I'm actually copying this website, and let's put here. So once you enter the website, this is what you see. You can sign up for free. When you click sign up for free, you will see the options here. You will see that there is a free option which allows you to do actually up to 250 calls per month. This is very nice because it allows you to actually test everything without spending a dime. And from this point, you will see that the first value is actually less than $10, and we will allow you up to 50,000 calls a month. So, I mean, for a very cheap price, you can have actually a large amount of calls. Right, so once you click here for sign up, I will just log in because I have already signed up. You will be redirected to a dashboard, okay? In this dashboard, you will see a API access key, which is actually this one. You will see information about your plan and your account, okay? So you can see that actually right now I'm paying $0, okay? And it is very nice you guys click here, this 3-step quick start guide, right? So in this 3-step quick start guide, in the step 1, you see your API key. We will have to provide this to API, so it will actually know that we are registered and will send us back the information we request. And in the step 2, we see actually the API endpoints. So you guys remember the menu, the food we can order. So here we are. From this API, we can actually request the current weather, historical time series, weather forecast, and location lookup. So this is actually our menu, okay? And for each item in the menu, we can actually see down here the information we have to pass for the menu, for the order, for the waiter, actually to bring our food. No? So here's the link we are supposed to call. So we are supposed to call this link API weatherstack.com/current, and we are supposed to pass the access key, and we can use some parameters. So for example, here we use the parameter query, and we actually ask for the weather, current weather in New York, right? But we can also change other parameters like units, languages, and so on. If you want the complete information, you can actually refer later to the documentation, and you have the link here for the complete documentation, okay? So once we click it, we see the complete documentation here. The good thing is that actually to test this API, we don't even need Delphi at the moment. We can simply hit Control-click here, and we have a new tab, and you see here the request is done and processed, and we have here the JSON file as return, right? So let us check here. For example, we have here New York. This is what we passed. So we have the country, United States, and we have local time in New York. We have, now where's the temperature? Here we have the temperature, 20 degrees, right? So let's say I change this for my hometown, Salvador. Okay, just a second. Yeah, here we go. So now we change for Salvador, and then we have here the very same information, but actually now showing that it is in Bahia, which is my state, right? And country, Brazil. And now we have the temperature here, 27 degrees. You see? So actually the API is responding to our request at the moment. So what happened about the error that just showed is that whenever I click to request HTTPS, like we did here, it will return an error because I'm still not registered. So they say access restrictor. Your current subscription plan does not support HTTPS. So if you guys get this error, just go to the link and remove the S and do a HTTP request, and you're supposed to see the request just like I did, okay? Right, very nice. So now that we have checked on these two steps, sorry, then we go to step 3. We can try to integrate this into our application. So let's see how it is. And for you guys to check later, I just have everything here available. So from the weather stack, now we are checking the Rest Debugger. So we'll just open RADStudio and click Tools, Rest Debugger, and then we are just performing some adjustments on Rest. So here we have RADStudio, Tools, Rest Debugger. So for many of you, this is something very, that you do every day, but for many people there, maybe they still did not use it. So here we just add the URL here. We say it's going to be a JSON return, and we can add some parameters. Let's add some parameters here. And for now, we're just adding access key. Let me get it from here, maybe it's better. So we got access key as a name, and we get the access key. We copy it from here. Okay. So we are doing it all live. So if we get any errors, you guys be patient and understanding. So here we have our query parameter, and let us do Salvador too. Let me try some other city in Brazil, Campinas. Okay, so if everything is correct, we're supposed to hit send request. And in the body, here we have the body. We have here type city, and the city is Campinas, which is also in Brazil, as I told you guys. And here we have Campinas, which is like 100 kilometers from São Paulo, so the region is São Paulo. We have latitude, longitude for Campinas, and the current temperature, which is 22 degrees. Okay, so from this point on, you guys can actually play and check whatever API you want, right? So what is cool about APILayer? If we check the link I gave to you guys, APILayer.com, you will see all the APIs here. And maybe you want to do let's do the aviation stack API. So maybe you want to play with some aviation information. And if, of course, you can also sign up for free for $0. And in this case, you can do up to 100 requests for free a month. So if you sign up, you will see that the 3-step guide is exactly the same. So you have exactly the same 3-step guide with exactly the same options to actually click and see information from flights. Okay, remove this as here. You see, this is all the information from flights we can request. In this case, we are simply passing our access key and then retrieving a bunch of information. But of course, we can limit, offset, we can determine whatever we want. And the point is that the only thing that changed here is the menu. It's like going to a different restaurant. I mean, you can order different food, right? But the way you order is the same. If you know how to go to one restaurant, then you simply go to another. And maybe you want to eat Japanese food today, and tomorrow you want to eat Italian. So now we have Italian here, Italian food. Yesterday we had Japanese, right? So here we have everything that we can order, and all the parameters are described here, and we can test it just like the same way. What happens is that with APILayer, we have a bunch of very interesting solutions that we can use, and all of them actually use the very same style. And once you use one, you can actually get the benefits from all of them really fast. You just learn, and then you're there using it. So that's why I told you guys that sometimes it's better to explain people and explain clients or even managers that don't understand much about software, that we can actually benefit for a very low price from third-party APIs, okay? Okay, so we move on. From Rest Debugger, we can actually click here, copy components, and you see that it pops up a message saying that these components have been copied to your clipboard. We have a TREST client, a TREST request, a TREST response. And from here, we can actually open File, New Project, and actually pass the components that we have just copied to clipboard. And well, now we do just like those TV programs where people cook. We put something in the oven, and then we bring it up ready. I mean, like you put a cake, which will take like 20 minutes to cook, but then we just pop with something 2 minutes later. So here I have already this demo, which I prepared. So here I'm loading it. I have prepared actually a demo from low code. We have here mainframe. Sorry, not this one. No, sorry, I think it's this one before. Yes, there you go. So not the main, so the new form. I have created a new form. I have actually passed the three components you see here: REST response, REST request, REST client. So they are here. And I actually added 2 edits for us to actually add our API key. So I'm catching our API key again from here just to make sure I'm using the correct API key. The same, let's get from here. So the same API key I used here, let me copy it. I will make sure I use the same one here. Okay. And I can hit run to run my application. In this case, I'm compiling for Windows 32 bits. And here we have our application. We go to the new form. Here we have our API key, and I'm changing this to another city. Let's think about another one, Recife. This is another city from Northeast Brazil. So sending request, and I'm always changing the city just for you guys to see that there's nothing, I'm not cheating on you guys. So here we have, again, country is Brazil, region here is Pernambuco, because Recife is in the state of Pernambuco. We have latitude, longitude, and we can use a lot of information from here. Local time, sometimes you just need an application to have local time from different places. So actually you have everything here, and here we have the temperature, right? So from this point, we can actually process this JSON, not only add this to a simple memo like I did, but actually use for something more graphical. If we check here code, we'll see that we don't have much code in this application. Very simple way. We just actually clear the memo. We pass some configuration to our REST client, and the main configuration here is actually the same link that we provided here for the request in the Rest Debugger, and it's the same link that we can grab from the 3-step guide. And from this point, we actually concatenate the access key with the query from the 2 edits, and we pass this to the request as a result. Okay, so once we execute it, we wait for the response, and the response is actually here in this content property, and we add this as text to a memo. So very easy for you guys actually to play and start doing your project. So everything is here in the PowerPoint, all the steps. Okay, I just leave it here for you guys to double check later. And the good thing is that you guys can refer to my blog in the Embarcadero official blog. So you will see that this complete application and many other applications are available for you guys to as text with everything explained here. Okay, and actually from this point you can find many other APIs usage demonstrations here. So language detection, real-time stock market. So if you need information from real-time, actually I wrote an application or an article showing how to do it. And always in the bottom of the application, you will see here a link to the GitHub where you can download all the source code. Okay, so here you have the link for the code and you can download it from the Git. Right? This will be also at the end of this seminar. Well, I mean, if you want to do something more graphical, here is an example from the exchange rates API that you can also find in the blogs, in the Embarcadero blogs, right? So for this one, historical currency exchange, historical currency exchange, Embarcadero. Let's see. Here's the link. So actually for this one, I mean, you'll see that we have a more, let's say, graphical implementation where you can actually select the currency you want, and you can put the value like $1, how much this is valuing other coins, and you make the request and the API brings it real time for you, right? So we are here teaching you how to process actually the JSON that will come back. And actually you will also find also another article showing how to process the information from CoinLater, showing you how to process graphics for cryptocurrency solutions. So for all of them, you have here the QR code. You can refer to those articles and you can download the source code very easy. Okay. Thank you very much, you guys. I hope you liked this very quick presentation. The idea here was to explain, to bring to you a little bit of this new IDERA acquisition about APIs and actually show you how quick and easy it is to use Delphi to connect with RESTful APIs. Here you have the link for the GitHub, and I'm open for questions. Thank you. Just checking here in the questions. If you want to share an app, would the API key be in your own key, or should the program user makes the user's new key? So about the API keys, right? Okay, so each API key is actually attached to a plan, right? So here, actually, I'm letting you guys see my API key because it's even for free, but this is not even recommended anyway, because in this case, you can make requests under my name, let's say. But in case you have an application then it's also important for you to decide if you will have an API key for each client, or maybe you will have an API key for your company and all the clients are going to be using this very same API. It all depends on the architecture of your system, right? So then you can decide. Can I pass the same component on C++ Builder and C++ and Builder project? Yes, if you go for the C++ Builder, you will there have a Rest Debugger, and then you can use Rest Debugger from C++ and copy and paste, and the process is very similar. Actually, well, for later I can work and do the very same demo with C++. It will take just some really minor adjustments. Will some of the links show almost like flashes be published in the chat? Will some of the links show almost like flashes? Okay, for all the links, I tried to actually leave the QR code here so you guys can use your phones to scan. And remember, everything was going to be available for replay online later. And you guys can always send me emails. So here is my email. You can send me an email and I can forward you the links. But also don't forget that if you go to Embarcadero official blog, as I showed to you, I mean, there is a series of many APILayer blog posts. So both you can check under my name, Victor Fernandez, and you will see all my articles, or you can simply, you see here, I have 16 articles posted, or you can simply Google it like blogs.embarcadero.com and then put a space, put APILayer or coin layer, whatever, and you will find it, okay? Fantastic analogy. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I mean, sometimes people tend to complicate things, and for many developers out there, whenever, I mean, they never actually worked with APIs, they tend to think it's very complicated, something from another world. And I say, no, it's like cooking. I mean, you can cook at home or you can actually order food. So just go order food if you want to use an API. Really inspiring, great presentation. Thank you very much. Very nice presentation. Thank you, guys. For the weather API, you put a city, but not state, province, etc. How does the API differentiate between cities that have the same name? Yes, I mean, in case of cities with same name, most probably it will return the first city. I have never tried, I must say. But in case it is not returning you the proper information you want, remember that you can always use more parameters. So I did a query with just one information, but you can actually add more parameters or more information to the query. In this case, just refer to the API documentation, okay? This should also be listed there. What do I think about Paulo Rossi library, RESTful? Service integration, GitHub standard components are good, but usually in enterprise level Postgres API calls are hidden, deeply application, blah, 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 blah. Well, very large question from Anthony. Anthony, I will read your question carefully and I will reply to you privately later, because even you send me a link for an API that I don't know, or a component that I don't know about, so I will double check and let you know. So I don't want to make it free. Okay, guys, I mean, if you send me code, I cannot at this time real life check on everything, all the code, so sometimes hard. Just send questions that we can easily reply that have no published documentation. Okay, how to use APIs that have no published documentation? First of all, I mean, you're supposed to have a documentation for an API. Why would the documentation be hidden? I mean, if it's hidden, most probably they don't want you to use. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. But anyway, you're supposed to have some documentation. If none is available, everything's going to be, I mean, harder. It's like hacking some system. Patrice asking me here if I have websites with interesting APIs. Well, yes, actually the idea was to bring for you guys in this presentation the API layer. So as we saw, we have a bunch of very interesting APIs. but this is quite general. I mean, the idea here is actually to show APIs that Idera, from a company that Idera just bought in January. So this is now part of the Embarcadero group, let's say, or the Idera group. So APILayer is actually a sister company of Embarcadero right now. But I mean, you can use this for whatever, Amazon APIs, Microsoft APIs. I mean, and sky is the limit. You could use the information pulled on a timer several times, pay to feed a database that you can send the user information from, so they don't constantly use your account to pull. Yes, actually, yes, depending on, I mean, I have a question here that he's saying you could use the information pulled on a timer several times to feed your database. So the idea here from Michael is actually caching. Yes, of course, you can always use cache in between your client and the client application and the third-party API. So you have like in the middle a cache system that you can make requests to the API, cache them here in backend, and when your client requests, they will not request maybe directly the third-party API, but rather your server, and then you forward the information. Yes, this can save you requests, and in this case, you have to evaluate the frequency of change. For example, temperature. Maybe the temperature will not change constantly, so I don't need to actually every time request the temperature from the server, the third party, and consume one call. So if it's just for the temperature, maybe I can request it from my backend server, which actually requests just once an hour, and then I reduce the number of calls. I will not have one call for each time each client access the system, but rather one call every hour from my caching backend system and then back to my client. Yes, this can save a lot of money. In many of your examples on Embarcadero blog, you use a FireMonkey low-code app wizard, but in no of the samples you use the setting system for the API key, making login samples using. Okay, Helge, I'm not sure I'm saying your name right, Helge Larsen. He's saying that on your blog posts, you frequently use FireMonkey low-code application wizard. Yes, I just released a series of blog posts in my blog, on Embarcadero blog, showing low-code applications. So Embarcadero wants to push this. It's something rather new, and they want to make it available as much as possible. So that's why I was using this. And the idea was actually to cover as many APIs as possible from APILayer with very simple demos, just demonstrating how to get the information and how to use it. And from now on, we can actually move on and do more elaborate the demos, and that's why I showed you guys 2 other demos from the blog. Do you recommend playing around with open APIs and progress to stuff like Microsoft Graph with tokens and complex mixes? Yes, of course, Jonas. Whenever we want to understand better some technology, it's always better to play around with something simpler, maybe for free and so on. So yes, of course, it is a proper way to use thread for squid. Sorry, no codes. I'm not checking on codes right now. Great presentation. Does Delph support writing REST servers? Yes, of course. I mean, we can actually, and that's why I made a joke. So Vladimir is asking me if Delphi can support writing REST servers. And that's why I actually made a joke. We can cook at home, but sometimes it's better just to go out and order food. Because actually we can, we all know we can actually do our own server and maybe write our own API service for someone to use. And this is one of the possibilities. Actually, you can actually create your own servers with information that you want to share, and you want people to pay to you. Of course, Delphi can support that. And yes, for sure, we can schedule another presentation, or I can actually publish in my YouTube channel a video showing a little bit of this. But yes, for sure, Delphi can support you. and C++ Builder too. Can you pass all the links? Yes, all the links are in the presentation. You guys can check on the replay later, please. I have an issue posting a JSON. Do I need to convert it to UTF-8 first? Well, you don't need to convert it, but maybe it's recommended. I hear no sound. It's just me or others too? I mean, I think it's just you, because otherwise everybody would would be complaining. So, guys, I hope you all liked it. I'm very happy to be again here. And in case you have any doubts, just email me your questions, or we can talk through our blog or my YouTube channel. You have many ways to contact me, okay? Thank you very much. Brian, please, you want to say something, Jim? Yes, everybody, many people saying great presentation. Thank you, guys. Just go there and check on the APIs. I mean, there are many useful services. Actually, I don't know. I mean, Brian's offline, Jim is offline. I don't even know how to end this thing here. Okay. So, see you later. I'm just stopping, and thank you all for coming. Bye-bye.
Okay, thanks, Vic. As for everyone, thanks also for joining. Join us on the next session. Okay, guys, bye.